Three powers. Same war, completely different strategies. And that's why the answer isn't obvious, because what you're watching right now isn't just conflict. It's a clash of philosophies. Three ways of thinking about power, three ways of playing the game, and only one of them will actually hold the advantage over time. At first glance, it looks simple. The United States, Israel, Iran, all engaged in the same conflict, but they're not fighting the same war. That's the mistake most people make. They assume shared battlefield means shared strategy. It doesn't, because each power is optimizing for something different. And what you optimize for determines how you win. Start with the United States. This is not just a regional conflict for them. It's global. Every move is calculated across multiple fronts: energy markets, alliances, geopolitical balance. The US isn't trying to destroy everything. It's trying to control outcomes, maintain stability, avoid escalation beyond a certain threshold. Because escalation doesn't just affect one region, it ripples outward. So, the US strategy is measured, apply pressure, demonstrate power, then step back before the system destabilizes too much. It's controlled force, strategic restraint, management instead of total domination. That sounds smart, and it is, in a stable system. But here's the problem. This system isn't stable, and restraint inside an unstable system can look like hesitation, which creates openings. Now look at Israel. Completely different approach. For Israel, this isn't global. It's immediate, direct. The threat is not abstract. It's close, persistent. So the strategy shifts. Less about balance, more about elimination. Remove the threat, reduce future risk, ensure survival long-term. That requires aggression, continuation, pressure that doesn't stop early. Because stopping early means leaving the problem alive, and leaving the problem alive means facing it again later. So Israel's strategy is simple. Finish what was started. Push until the threat is no longer viable. That creates clarity, but it also creates risk, because pushing further increases exposure, extends timelines, raises costs. And when costs rise, even strong strategies start to strain. Now shift to Iran. This is where everything changes, because Iran isn't trying to win the same way. It's not trying to dominate. It's not trying to eliminate. It's trying to endure. That's the strategy. Absorb pressure, stretch time, increase cost for the opponent, because Iran understands something fundamental. It doesn't need to win quickly. It just needs to not lose. And in modern war, that's powerful, because endurance flips the equation. Instead of asking, "Can we win?" the question becomes, how long can they keep going? That's a different game, and it favors different strengths: resilience, patience, adaptability. And right now, Iran is playing that game effectively, not cleanly, not without damage, but consistently enough to stay in it. So now you have three strategies. The US, control the system. Israel, eliminate the threat. Iran, outlast the pressure. Same war. Three completely different endgames. And here's where it gets complicated, because these strategies don't align. The US wants to manage risk. Israel wants to remove it. Iran wants to extend it. And when strategies don't align, the system becomes unstable, because each move affects the others differently when Israel pushes forward. It increases pressure, which challenges US restraint. When the US steps back, it creates space, which Iran uses to endure longer. When Iran stretches the timeline, it raises costs, which affects both the US and Israel. It's a loop, each strategy reinforcing and disrupting the others at the same time. That's why this war feels unresolved, because it is. Not because no one is strong, but because everyone is playing a different game. Now here's the real question. Which strategy actually has the advantage? At the beginning, the aggressive strategy looks strongest: fast strikes, immediate impact, visible dominance that favors Israel. Then control and restraint start to matter: managing escalation, maintaining alliances, containing fallout that favors the United States. But over time, the equation shifts because time rewards endurance, and endurance is Iran's strategy. Every day, the conflict continues. Costs rise globally, not just for the countries involved, but for the entire system. Energy markets fluctuate. Economic pressure builds. Political complexity increases, and the longer this goes, the harder it becomes for high-cost strategies to sustain themselves. That's the turning point. Because dominance is expensive, control is complex, but endurance is scalable. It doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence, and persistence compounds slowly, quietly, until it starts to outweigh everything else. That doesn't mean Iran is winning, but it means the advantage is shifting from immediate strength to long-term sustainability. And that's where most people misread the situation. They look at what's happening now, the strikes, the operations, the visible power, and they assume that defines the outcome. But outcomes aren't defined in moments. They're defined over time, and time is still moving, which means the advantage is still evolving. Now zoom out. What do you actually see? Not a clear winner, not a final phase, but a dynamic system. 3 powers, 3 strategies, constantly interacting, constantly adjusting, constantly shifting the balance, and the side that ultimately gains the advantage won't just be the strongest. It will be the most aligned with how the war is actually unfolding. If the war stays fast, aggression wins. If the war stays controlled, management wins. If the war stretches, endurance wins. Right now, it's stretching, which means the game is changing, and the players who don't adapt fall behind, not immediately, but inevitably. So the real question isn't who is strongest, it's whose strategy fits the future of this war. Because that's who wins, not the one who dominates early, but the one who aligns with how the conflict evolves. And right now, that answer is still shifting, which means this war is far from decided. If this changed your perspective, subscribe because the next video might change your life.